If you're a real estate wholesaler or aspiring wholesaler or any real estate investor who interacts, communicates, or transacts with distressed sellers, pay close attention to this video if you don't want to get sued, fined, or go to jail. I'm Jerry Norton, and it's time for another heart-to-heart talk. In light of recent events with the Arizona Attorney General suing a group of wholesalers for allegedly, quote, stripping equity from pre-foreclosure sellers, it's important we address how to properly transact with sellers that will keep you out of trouble. But first, let me give you some context to what's been happening and why this is relevant. Since 2019, the wholesaling industry has been under attack. At an accelerated pace, regulation is sweeping across the country, state by state. From the outside, this movement is in the name of protecting the consumer from the harmful practices of wholesalers. Some regulatory and consumer protection agencies view the practice of wholesaling as predatory, unfair, unethical, dishonest, and harmful to sellers. There is a progressive sentiment that distressed sellers are a protected class and incapable of making decisions about selling their unwanted properties and should be protected from wholesalers who cheat these vulnerable and unsuspecting homeowners from their hard-earned equity. Now, this pervasive narrative is getting more and more traction in the marketplace, and this Arizona lawsuit is another strike against wholesalers. The truth is that while yes, there are occasional bad actors just like every industry, those are isolated incidents and not reflective of the wholesale industry as a whole. Look, I've been wholesaling for 20 years. I'm one of the longest standing educators and foremost authorities on wholesaling, and have seen firsthand all of the good that wholesaling does for sellers, our neighborhoods, and the real estate market. Inside our industry, we know this. We know that by and large, wholesalers provide a tremendous service to distressed sellers that no one else is willing or able to provide, especially real estate agents. You and I know that there are certain situations where a seller does not have the time, the money, or the desire, for a multitude of reasons, to hire a real estate agent and instead chooses to sell to a wholesaler who offers an as-is, fast, hassle-free transaction for all cash. You and I know that aside from rare exceptions, a distressed seller willingly and knowingly chooses to sell at a discount for the speed and convenience offered by a wholesaler. You and I know that a seller who is capable of buying a property is also capable of selling a property. And you and I know that wholesalers play a vital role in the housing economy. Many of these homes are vacant and dilapidated. Wholesalers bring much needed inventory to investors who in turn fix up these homes, improving neighborhoods, reducing crime, increasing values, and providing affordable housing. The bottom line is nobody wins when you take the wholesaler out of the picture. But it's not enough that you and I know this. The rest of the world needs to see and recognize the value we bring to sellers and the market. And here's the call to action. You and I can help change this perception, and the first and most important way is to improve the way we transact. After dissecting the 81-page indictment in Arizona, there are several fraud accusations made against how these wholesalers interacted with sellers. And while there appears to be a strong case that they were blatantly scamming homeowners, if some of these accusations prevail in court, they will create case law and set precedents and invite more regulation and more restrictions on wholesalers. So I've outlined 7 areas where we can operate in a way that will avoid getting sued, fined, or accused of committing fraud. Look, if there's a gray area, we need to stay away from it. Let me show you how, and be sure to stay to the end because I'll share with you 4 vital clauses that I use in my contracts that you can use to operate with full transparency. I'll even give them to you for free. First is using heavily one-sided contracts that are in favor of the investor. This is known as mutuality of obligation. For example, a contract that states the seller cannot cancel the contract at all for any reason, but at any time the buyer has the right to cancel the contract for any reason. That is a one-sided contract. If you have a contingency such as an inspection, make sure it's fair and within a reasonable time frame. The second way to improve how you transact is to put down significant earnest money with sellers. Earnest money validates your contract. It's the seller's insurance policy that you're going to perform. It shows good faith that you're going to buy the property. Putting down $0 or $10 or even $100 is not enough. It makes you look like an unserious buyer. My good friend and real estate attorney, Jeff Watson, said that $500 is sufficient for reasonable earnest money. And I recently did an entire video dedicated to earnest money and how to use earnest money as a selling feature to sellers. I'll put the link to that video in the description below, and you can watch it later. The third way to improve how you transact is to avoid misrepresentations. This includes false pretenses and false promises. Don't say that you're going to buy the house and fix it up and flip it if you do not plan on doing that and instead plan on wholesaling it. Don't say to a pre-foreclosure seller that you're a foreclosure specialist. No, you're not. Don't say your goal is for the seller to stay in the home and not lose it. No, it's not. Your goal is to buy or wholesale the home. This is where intent comes into play. What do you intend to do? And the way intent is determined in the law is by looking at your history of behavior as well as your ability and needs. For example, if you say, I'm going to buy your house for cash, intent would be defined by showing proof that you've purchased homes for cash in the past and that you have the cash available in the bank right now or have relationships with funding partners that can provide the cash. For me, I can say to a seller, I may buy the property and fix it up and flip it, or I may buy the property and rent it out for cash flow, or I may assign the contract to another investor. I can say all of that because I have the history and the means and the ability to do all three. So what do you say if you're a new wholesaler? You would need to say something like this. Mr. Seller, I work with a group of local investors who buy houses for all cash, and they pay me to bring them opportunities like this. Once we have an agreement in place, I'll take this deal to my network of buyers and assign my rights to the contract, but rest assured, you'll get everything we agreed upon in the contract. Now, you may be thinking, Jerry, if I say that, I'll lose the deal. But my experience is that if you've done a good job building trust with the seller, they will respect you for being honest and still work with you. Okay, the fourth way to improve how you transact is to disclose. This is referred to as omissions or leaving out information that might be relevant to the seller's decision about selling to you. If there is a 1% chance you might wholesale the property, you need to disclose that. If you hold an active real estate license, you need to disclose that. Anything that you would want to know if you were the seller, disclose that information. The fifth way to improve how you transact is to avoid giving legal advice. Don't advise sellers to stop making their mortgage payment or to file bankruptcy or that they don't need a lawyer to review the contract. Avoid anything that may have legal ramifications. You don't want to be accused of unauthorized practicing of law. The sixth way to improve how you transact is to avoid gathering private information such as bank statements, social security numbers, or anything that could be used to take advantage of someone. This is known as financial exploitation, so be very careful. And the seventh one is a big one, and that's clouding title. And this is very common in wholesaling to avoid what I call getting backdoored by the seller. Getting backdoored is when the seller contracts with another wholesaler for more money or cuts you out of the deal and sells directly to your buyer. Now, to prevent that from happening, wholesalers file an interest on title, such as an affidavit of memorandum, but clouding title and obstructing a seller from selling looks really bad. If the local news channel shows up in the front lawn and runs a story that you prevented the seller from selling, there isn't a reason you can come up with where you won't look really bad. Fair or not, if a distressed seller changes their mind, let them go and move on. It's not worth it to try and force a disgruntled seller to still sell to you. And by the way, this rarely happens to me because we do such a good job building trust and managing expectations that a seller has no reason or desire to go with someone else. If you're getting backdoored, take a look at your internal processes. Now, while every industry has bad actors, in our industry, with all of the heat that we're getting, one bad wholesaler operating illegally or unethically, even if unintentionally, is one too many. Don't give lawyers, consumer protection agencies, or any regulatory agency any reason to come after us. All wholesalers everywhere need to become more aware of their state laws and operate at a higher level. You need to get active in your state. You can assume every state is looking at or considering regulation of some sort. Be aware of the bills being introduced. Contact your elected officials and help them understand the good that we provide. Now, I created and maintain a list of regulations by state. To get that report, just go to wholesaleregulations.com. Now, to help you, years ago, I created 4 very specific written disclosures that are included in my contracts that I believe all wholesalers should follow. First, an equity release disclosure. This is where the seller is made aware and acknowledges that the purchase price may be less than market value and that the seller knowingly and voluntarily agrees to sell the property for convenience, to save time and or money, lack of funds to renovate, or any other personal reasons, and releases and waives any and all claims against existing or future equity arising from the property. Okay, next is a profit disclosure where the seller acknowledges that you are an investor and as such, your intent is to make a profit by either renting, flipping the property, or assigning the contract. Next is an assignment disclosure where the seller acknowledges that you may assign your interest in the purchase of the property to a third-party end buyer for a fee that is separate from the purchase price in the agreement. And finally, an agency disclosure where the seller acknowledges that either you do not hold an active real estate license or that you do, but either way, you are not representing the seller in any way and acting in your own interest. Now, these are written disclosures that I review every time with sellers, regardless of regulation, to make sure the seller is crystal clear and fully aware of my intentions as an investor. I spent thousands of dollars in legal fees to create these 4 disclosures, and I believe every wholesaler should use them for your benefit and the seller's benefit, and I'll give them to you for free. I'll put the link in the description below for that free download. Finally, if you're new to wholesaling, don't get discouraged by these changes and these regulations. If you think it's too hard to wholesale now, then this was never the business for you anyways. At this point, more regulation is probably inevitable. The industry is too big. We're a multi-billion-dollar industry. All that means is you have to be willing to adapt and move forward. Those that do will be wildly successful. Watch this next video to learn what I'm doing to prepare and adjust my wholesale business so that I continue to thrive and prosper in real estate, and I'll see you on the next video.